and gentlemen, we start round 2. Vega, Squadron, and Team Secret and all that remain, and it's all on the line here. But one best-of-3 series stands between these two teams. Only one can take home the trophy. Welcome back to the panel. I'm Zayori. We're joined by our special guest here, PPD, Nahaz, as well as Merlini now joining us on the panel. PPD, thank you so much for joining us. How are you feeling, sir?
You know, I'm feeling better. I slept like probably 12 hours, so I'm fresh. I'm ready.
Okay, that's good. Nice. So before we break into this series, I think everybody wants to know what happened. What went wrong with EG?
I think we underestimated the Broodmother, and I just didn't think we just didn't prepare well enough.
Okay. How about Vega? Of course, they were the team that upset you guys. Do you think they have a good shot against Secret here?
I think they have a great shot. I've always been a huge fan of the Russian teams. Mainly last year I was a huge Empire fan, and this year I guess maybe Vega's the big team there. So I think they have a pretty good shot, but I do think they're underdogs.
Okay, fair enough. So other side of the panel, what are you thinking, Merlini? You just casted the last series. How's Vega looking coming into this finals?
They look really strong, but as far as the versatility, I don't think it's that high. I think perhaps EG as well as IG, they didn't quite seem to be prepared for the Broodmother and the Beastmaster that we've seen spanned by Vega in the past couple of weeks.
All right. How about you, Nahaz?
Well, I think, first things first, most importantly, I think you can mark it down now that when the major invites come out next week, I think both of these teams have done enough to be invited to the major in Frankfurt, and that's such a big deal for these young squads coming in. I think this is a great story in terms of a final matchup because both of these teams come in with so much to prove. Secret after the roster change, Vega's been good for a long time, but has never really broken into that Tier 1 status. Both of them have a chance to make a huge mark today.
Absolutely. So obviously Vega have been playing very well as a team. The cohesion is there. Who are the standout players for you, PPD? Is there one in particular that you really have been impressed by?
It's mainly the mid and the carry player, Posh and No One. I think there's like very few players that we talk about as a team and we go, yeah, these guys have it. And those are two guys that we even talked about before this tournament. We just recognize them as like really good players with tons of potential.
Yeah, it seems like No One has just been playing with this extreme confidence. He's always very aggressive, very bold in his movements. Do you agree there, Merlini? You're giving me the death stare. Yeah, what's going on, man?
He's not dying a lot.
Yeah.
At the same time, he's like finding picks and making good use of the smoke kings. I think that's something that we really saw in the last series. He's been given really good heroes though, like Queen of Pain, for example, over and over again. And it's kind of easy to shine when you have really good matchups like that, and everyone on your team is doing well. So I like to see him, recover from a bad start, let's say.
Okay, so let's switch sides a little bit. Let's talk Secret. We saw them in our first semifinals today. It feels like it was ages ago. They've had this time to kind of sit back. They got to watch that last series. Is that much of an advantage, PPD? Would you say being able to see how Vega performed against IG gives them any kind of an edge coming in here?
I think it's definitely an advantage. They've been able to sit for probably close to over maybe a little more than 3 hours to just kind of watch their opponents and plan out what they want to do.
Yeah.
It's kind of hard to prepare for more than one match at a time, so Secret probably went into today being prepared for their matchup this morning, and then they have all this time in between to prepare for their matchup against Vega, and Vega had, play IG, and then now they have to play against Secret, so they may be a little bit less prepared, but I think they'll probably stick to what they're used to playing.
On top of that, I think Secret has the draft advantage. Like, they have more tools that they can use at their disposal, and given more time, they can actually come up with more strategies, whereas if Vega had 3 hours off, they'd probably still pick very similar heroes.
Yeah, I mean, this morning, Nahaz, you mentioned how diverse day one was, and Secret was a big part of that diversity.
No, it was the hallmark of the tournament. I mean, they came in picking 13 different heroes in a 3-game series, and that was really, we all knew that we were going to see some crazy things in 6.85, but Secret came in and took that to a whole new level. I actually wanted to get Peter's thoughts on that, because Ben made that comment earlier that Vega has been a little bit predictable in this tournament, and we've seen CDC hurt by that. Do you think that's going to be a big factor in the finals?
I think it's definitely going to help Secret, but that being said, I don't think it's going to bother Vega at all. I think they're going to still stick to what Merlini said. They're going to stick to what they know best and play the way that they know how to play. And Secret's drafts are interesting, but I think they're a little crazy. Like, first pick Bane is just, I don't think that's acceptable, and ever. Especially when there's heroes like Tusk in the pool and Rubik, and there's just tons of heroes that are good against Bane. I love Bane, but I don't know if he's a first pick.
Okay, fair enough. Well, with that said, we've got our teams ready to be introduced. Dakota's on the main stage, ready to make the introductions.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, here at New York, and those of you watching at home, this is the moment we have all been waiting for. Let's go ahead, without further ado, bring out our two teams. It's going to be Team Secret and Vega Squadron. Bring it out. please have the 2 representatives for each team. Please come forward. Mag, Puppy, please. Gentlemen, we want some good, clean Dota. At the end of this best of 3, one team will be walking away with over $100,000 and this very cool looking trophy right behind me. Puppy, do you have any words for your opponent?
It's a cool trophy. I already have one like that. Although Mag really does deserve one.
Ooh, all right. Modest in there. I like that. Mag, any words for your opponent?
So I can take it?
You got to beat him twice first. You think you can do it?
I hope so.
Confidence. All right, gentlemen, please shake hands. Gentlemen, please. Shake hands. Hug. Go to your battle stations and let's get ready for one hell of a grand final. Yeah! Let's go ahead and throw it back to the Alpha Draft Analyst panel. Take it away.
Thank you so much, Dakota. Always exciting to see the teams on the main stage like that with those words of confidence, those fighting words before a grand finals. I love it.
That Kala guy's pretty hype, man.
He
He's
is.
doing a good job.
Yeah. The hype of the hype. So
I
here
think
we
you
go.
wanted a hug there at the end. I'll give you a hug, Dakota. Come on.
Oh my. So there we see the head-to-head matchup of both these squads. Peter, I want to ask you, coming into this series, you said that you think Secret are favorites. If you had to put numbers on it, how heavy favorites?
Probably like 65-35.
65-35. Merlini, I'm curious if you concur with those numbers.
60-40. That's
60-40.
pretty much same
Okay.
territory.
I'm down with 60-40.
Okay, so Vega being the underdogs, what do they need to do to beat Secret here? What do they need to tighten up to take this series?
I think they should just keep doing what they're doing. They play around Broodmother. They play a lot of Wisp, which they haven't got to do this tournament yet. They might do that if Secret decides not to ban it. They play a lot of Disruptor, Queen of Pain, Ember Spirit. Just stick to what you know, and maybe it's good enough to win you a tournament.
Now, I also want to ask about Ember Spirit. We've seen some diversity in the build. The new trend, of course, of the Boots of Travel. We talked about it on the panel earlier, but we saw Ferrari sticking to his guns, doing that more old-fashioned Power Treads, Battle Fury build. Is the BOT build really the new thing? I'm
not the biggest Ember Spirit player, but every time I play against it, it's incredibly annoying. It's like the new Naga of 6.85, I guess.
Oh wow!
That kind of the rat Dota like split push thing. And if you don't have the right heroes to catch him, he gets really annoying. But I do think you can play it the way Ferrari played it. And I think Sumail plays it that way as well, with like Treads, Aquila, into Battle Furies.
Yeah.
And it's just 2 different styles, and it probably depends on your opponent's heroes more than the hero itself.
Okay, fair enough. So we talked about the diversity, even seeing a second pick Elder Titan today from Secret, which it worked out, but I'm still kind of in awe. What was your thought about that, Merlini, seeing the Elder Titan pop out?
I didn't know what to believe. I thought it was like going to be against the Brood, so you could get like 100 damage from the Broodlings. But aside from that, I was like, why Elder Titan? Hopefully, Peter, what do you have to say about the hero?
And why pick it first phase? Again, it's like the Bane comment.
It leaves a lot open in the draft. Like, I know Misery likes to play it in the offlane, and I guess now Puppy plays it too. I didn't really know that was a Puppy hero, but I guess it's added to the pool. It's pretty good against a lot of the agility carries that are being run right now, and there's not a lot of people building Vlads and ACs, excluding like Pandas and Lycans. And that's pretty much it. So there's not a ton of armor items being picked up right now. Solar Crest got nerfed, so it's not getting picked up as much as well. So a lot of like the carries in the late game really lack the armor.
What not Dazzle though? Isn't Dazzle just better in most situations? I mean, they set up with the Stomp. I guess that's something that Dazzle doesn't have.
Dazzle has way less deep push, and Elder Titan CM, it's super hard to push into that. So.
Yeah. And I guess the other big difference is, was it Misery that spoke on the panel earlier about how some of his ex-teammates said it's just a zoning tool. It's a way to break up the fight and say, all right, you get to choose. You stay on this side of the fight or land in my ultimate, and that's something Dazzle definitely doesn't bring to the table.
I also think it's just like really good for CDEC in their playstyle, because they always 5-man, and Elder Titan's really good at stalling and pushing. And if you don't have Naga Siren, it's kind of the next best thing, maybe.
Yeah, I could see that. So for you, Nahaz, key heroes coming into this finals. I mean, Brood has to be top of the list. We've seen that hero prove herself time and time again, both in the hands of Mag and Misery. And now Mag playing the Beastmaster.
Yeah, I mean, Mag has been a very, very good offlaner for a long time now, and I hope a lot of people are getting the chance to see him on the big stage for the first time. He is a heck of a player. I mean, he was one of the pioneers of Clockwork a couple patches ago, along with Bone 7. This guy can really play. I think in this series, the mid matchup is just so key. I think you're probably going to see Wii on that Wind Ranger if they don't ban it out. No one has looked looks so good on the Queen of Pain and the Shadow Fiend, just able to control the game so much from that mid roll. I wanted to ask Peter though, when you're talking about Misery, he's struggled a little bit in some of these games. How, as a captain, do you help that?
As a captain?
Yeah.
I mean, you just ask him, what he struggles with, and how can the rest of the team help him. And he knows if he's struggling. He knows he needs to step it up and play better. So.
I feel like him being a veteran player is just such an asset in that regard.
Yeah, he keeps his cool for sure, and he's always going to do his best, and that's as much as you can ask of any player.
So I wanted to ask you, Peter, and you don't have to respond, but I want to know. I always like your openings in these drafts. What do you think are if you don't know the opponent, I'm just saying, what do you think are overall the strongest 2-hero opens in this patch?
I mean, I had some rough openings this tournament, but if I could take it all back, I really like Queen of Pain. I think, it was one of the mid-heroes of last patch that didn't get nerfed. I'm still a huge fan of Naga, but it's banned. And there's the Wisp that Vega really likes as well that, we talked about maybe would get through.
Can you first pick Wisp if you're just any team?
Not my team. We don't play Wisp, but I think you can. Yeah, it's probably versatile enough. It kind of locks you into doing dual lanes, which allows other teams to do dual lanes back. The issue we had yesterday is that.
Are you serious?
Again, the confidence from Secret.
Okay, so can you elaborate on what you were saying earlier? You felt like this was big into the deep push, and CDC is such a like a tempo team, right? It allows you to control some of their timing attacks.
Well, I mean, there's no Broodmother in this game, and there still might be a Beastmaster. I expect it to probably be banned in the second phase.
Oh my! Well, this is the first tiny pick we've had this tournament so far, and I'm glad you mentioned the Wisp in our pregame here, Peter, because we haven't seen Vega play it yet, even though it is in their recent history.
I think it's been banned every game.
Has it?
Against them. So it was definitely something coming to this tournament we were looking at. We decided we knew what they were going to pick. We needed to decide what we wanted to play against, and Wisp was something we didn't want to play against, and neither did IG.
You're exactly right. It was first banned by IG and EG in all the games. Absolutely.
So how much value do you think that the Tiny Wisp gained with the recent buff?
The recent buffs to Tiny?
Yeah.
Well, it was, I think, like Lina nerf and Bounty Hunter nerf actually really helped.
Yeah, I mean, Leshrac nerf as well. Like, the mid lane is way more open for something like this, and it also dissuades the Shadow Fiend pick, which is a pretty popular mid hero right now.
Gotcha.
So last time we saw this opening from Secret, they moved into the Brood, who of course has been banned out, the Wind Ranger for Weehaw, and then they ended with that Razor, the lane dominator for Envy. I'm curious if they're going to build kind of a similar draft around that, or if they now take it in a different direction.
They don't really have any like straight hard Wisp counter right now. Generally, it's like, okay, Disruptor. Sometimes we saw like OD kind of trifled with here and there.
The Wyvern's still in the pool.
Yeah, Wyvern, but
Witch Doctor.
They immediately picked up both of their 2 supports, and none of them are classic Wisp counters, which is actually very surprising.
Well, now don't forget, this could be a Misery Elder Titan in the offlane.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. And I mean, Winter Wyvern, statistically anyway, is the strongest Tiny Wisp counter. She's like 66% against them in the last patch.
It's definitely good, but the nerf kind of affected as well. Like, Tiny could be going into it, and he won't instantly destroy his friend.
True, yeah, you have to curse the Tiny now. Yeah.
So now we see some more of the Hero Pool Limited, Bane as well as the Beastmaster banned out by Secret, Spectre and Queen of Pain by Vega. And Mag's Hero Pool now a bit more limited with Brood and the Beastmaster taken out.
And if you were to play against Secret, would you ban out Wind Ranger in the second phase for Secret?
I don't know. It's a good hero. I don't think it's overpowered or anything like that, but it is probably a comfort hero from his well. So if you have like kind of that free ban, they decided to ban Quap instead. Probably not an awful idea.
I think it makes a lot of sense, right? Because I think Wind Ranger can do okay against Tiny Wisp, even if they dual mid. How do you like that matchup?
Yeah, I don't think Wind Ranger really farms too much there, but she probably won't die. But she could, level 4, level 5.
What are you thinking here, Merlini?
I mean, I saw them use like the stomp into a shackle a lot, I think, and it's really, if you hit 2 heroes, it's almost guaranteed that you can get a shackle, and that's just someone immediately dead.
Okay.
I think Wee's played on a high enough level on this hero in this tournament that you go ahead and pick it here, even against maybe a classically unfavorable matchup.
I don't think it's that bad for Wind Ranger.
I actually don't as well.
Yeah, she has.
But I'm going to trust the authority to my right here.
No, I'm not. I think Wind Ranger will do okay, but it's not. I think maybe a Quap would do better.
Okay.
Yeah, but there's no Quap though.
Yeah, she's been taken out. One of the most impressive parts about Weehaw's Wind Ranger, though, is his ability to control the game and also transition into that mid and late game carry. And he kind of gets the best of all worlds.
Do you take the Disruptor here as Vega to deny Secret?
Solo does play a really good Disruptor.
Yeah, I think he does, and I like it as a pick. You don't like it though, Ben, with their lineup?
I don't.
He's kind of weak in dual lanes.
Yeah, he's like exceptionally in dual lanes.
Okay.
And this
There's
is
the Mag hero.
this is like a super throwback. Guys, if you haven't seen Mag's Clockwork, it's insanely strong. I mean, this is one of the guys that was innovating armlet clock. He was one of the first to really fine-tune that blade mill clockwork. And the AM from Envy, boy, are we going to see another Rapier Rush? I don't think so, but he's very, very good on this hero.
Anti-Mage is really strong in this patch as well. We rated it as one of like the highest carries.
Stronger than last patch.
Oh yes, most definitely.
Okay.
Good call on Disruptor.
Yeah.
Yeah, very good. Especially against the AM, though. It makes a little more sense now. Quite good here.
They probably weren't too sure about it, and then they saw AM, and they're like, all right, let's do it.
Yeah.
They're going to need a really strong laner. It's basically going to be almost a solo in like the safe lane.
10 seconds remaining.
Disruptor doesn't really offer too much, but he can help out a bit.
5 seconds remaining.
Especially if he gets like an early boots.
Okay. So final bans around the corner here. Vega will need their hard carry.
I still have a question.
Please.
Why Elder Titan? 'Cause we talked about a lot of reasons. Okay, we said it was good against anti-push. We said it was good against agility heroes, and none of those are in this game.
It's honestly not that good this game.
I think setup for the Shackle is the only thing that I can think of that it makes that it synergizes with.
It does set up for Shackle,
but I mean that still feels
that warrant a first pick material.
I mean, isn't Crystal Maiden Elder Titan? Isn't that kind of a throwback duo from the past?
It's nice because you have Aura. Like Elder Titan can get away. He can get to his Tranquil Soul Ring much easier through farming. Before he gets those items, he can still farm because of the Aura, which is nice.
But then you have an Elder Titan.
But the thing is, like, you're gonna have a Tiny who's gonna get an AC eventually, and then you're gonna have Io who's probably gonna get a Vlad's for the team as well. And they're not gonna be that squishy.
Yep.
And Tiny generally does pretty well against Anti-Mage, so I'm not too sure. As long as they don't, like the Tiny Io don't get shackled and Wisp gets burst down, they should be pretty fine in team fights.
Correct me if I'm mistaken here, Nahaz. We've seen a few anti-mage bans, but I think this is the first anti-mage pick that we've seen this tournament.
Yeah, I think that's right.
So why this game? Peter, you rate him very high as a carry. Why is this the first time we're seeing him? Is he particularly good in this matchup, or
he got banned a couple of times? I don't think he's very good in this matchup. I mean, he's pretty good against Clockwork, but he doesn't match up that great against Tiny. Both Anti-Mage and Wind Ranger are two core heroes that do physical damage that don't really like to go BKB very often. But the Craggy kind of almost forces you to, and especially with like a Disruptor and a Clockwork in the game, you're definitely gonna have to get a BKB. So I kind of like where Vega picks are going at the moment.
How do you think AM's going to do in the laning phase? I think he actually could do fine.
I think he'll do just fine. I think he'll free farm.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. If you have a free farming AM, I don't think Tiny is necessarily going to be free farming in the mid lane. You have a free farming AM against at least a partially contested Tiny. Don't you have to like Secret Draft better at this point?
We'll see what Vega picks to lane up against Darkseer, but right now they have the opportunity to win 2 lanes. And Wisp is also going to be stacking those hard camps for Tiny to catch up on, and he's definitely going to propel way over Anti-Mage, like in the kind of the early game, like 5 to 15 minute mark before AM gets that Battle Fury and starts going.
For sure, and we should mention, this is now almost certainly going to be a 4-position Elder Titan, so switching things up a little bit, we're going to see Misery on the Darkseer, and that's a hero I always like to see a veteran player on the here.
Tiny can get sorry to interrupt you, but Tiny can get an early blink, start going after that Wind Ranger. You know, they can clock and hook the Wind Ranger, relocate, finish them, and if Darkseer's not really ready there to counter initiate, I think Wind Ranger could have a really rough game.
No, I like this. I think they have a lot of ways to connect into the fight. They have a lot of different ways that they can start and finish fights.
Yeah, it's incredible to see how much things have changed in just 2 days of this tournament. Seeing Darkseer and Tusk making it to the final bans and final picks.
I want to see Bloodseeker, man. That's the pick.
Yeah.
Good versus Anti-Mage. Great for Darkseer in lane.
Oh yeah.
A lot going on. A lot of damage.
Yeah, absolutely. So what are you thinking here? Final pick for Vega.
Bloodseeker.
Bloodseeker. Okay.
I don't know, man.
I can't tell if you're trolling or if you're being serious.
Dude, it's really good versus Anti-Mage. He can't get away from Rupture. He's actually one of the few melee heroes that can deal with a Darkseer that isn't Anti-Mage.
That is true.
And
you can basically solo that lane.
Yeah.
And with a little Disruptor help, they might even be able to kill Darkseer.
We have seen so little Darkseer since 6.85 came out. It seems like he was one of the big heroes.
Sarcastic, right?
Huh?
You're being sarcastic, right?
Well, we haven't seen him. We've seen him completely ignored this tournament.
Well, Vegas banned him first two every single game.
He's been banned a lot this tournament.
Bloodseeker?
Oh no, you said Darkseer.
No,
you said Darkseer.
I thought you said Darkseer.
Yeah, no, I was talking about Bloodseeker.
Oh, okay,
no, Bloodseeker. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, yeah, he definitely got nerfed, and but if it's a perfect game and it's the last pick, and you're like, wow, Bloodseeker really fits here. There's no reason you can't pick.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
And I mean, teams are going to be familiar. You're going to have a lot of teams familiar with how to run them for the last patch.
A lot of thought going into this last pick.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a tough one. I'm not feeling the Bloodseeker. I
The
think
heroes, there's like very few carry heroes you can lane against Darkseer, and that's like the biggest thing right now with Darkseer and Brood.
Oh.
yeah, this is a standby for them. And they have run this they've run this primarily in the safe lane, and Apasha does okay on this hero.
Yeah, well, they have like two kind of space makers with Slardar in the safe lane, Clock in the off lane, and Tiny's really the one position out of the mid lane.
This is going to be a lot of fun. I really do feel like Vega has shown us a little bit of a different look here, but they've still got that potential for early aggression. And I think Peter's absolutely right that the key part in the game is going to be that 10 to 15 minutes where that Tiny, I think, is going to look to leap ahead of that AM.
All right, let's go around for our final predictions.
matchup.
Merlini, you're up first. Who's taking game one?
I like Secret.
Nahaz?
I'm going to go Secret here. I think it's going to be a great game, but I think their draft's just a little more staying power.
I'll take Vega. I want the team that beat me to be the champions.
Okay, fair enough. Can't argue with that, Peter. With that said, let's hand it over to our grand finals casters, Capitalist and Blitz. Take it away.
That's right, we're in the first game of this grand finals of the best of three between Vega Squadron and Team Secret. Of course, Capitalist joined by my friend Blitz. Blitz, the last pick Slaughter coming out from Vega Squadron, definitely one of the things we want to talk about the most. Is that really the hero for Vega?
I think they've had a theme throughout this tournament to just play really aggressively with their cores, and the Slardar kind of just fits into that pretty perfectly. Like, you really want to be the aggressors, and when you're playing against a Team Secret that has Weehaw playing the Wind Ranger and the Anti-Mage, you don't want to go late game up against this, and so going for that Blink melee carry, you can kind of press the issue a lot sooner than you normally would.
Yeah, if you actually manage to get, like the PPD was talking about, if you pick up the early Blink Dagger on the Tiny and you can play aggressively and, pick off the Wind Ranger potentially, maybe even get a jump on an Anti-Mage as well, you could have two different Blink initiators potentially. But I really love the Slardar as just any sort of, like, you already have your primary carry in the middle lane. You wanted to pick up something that could come online nice and early. Something like Slardar or Sven works perfectly in that regard. And nice pickup by Pasha, stealing that Bounty Rune away from Weehaw, who's already going to be in a bit of a tough lane against the Tiny Wisp now without that extra 100 experience and 100 gold.
The last time we saw that Weehaw had to play against the Tiny Wisp, I can't remember what team it was, but if you remember correctly, he started like 0-4 or something like that.
Yeah, he died so many times.
It was Alliance, actually. He was Lina against the Tiny Wisp, and I really feel like that's one of those lessons that you learn, and hopefully it'll help him in this game, that he just has to play this game pretty passively and kind of relax. Like, the one knock I have on Weehaw as a player is that sometimes it feels like he thinks that he has to do a lot more in his lane than he normally does.
The funny thing is they actually won that game. So if Weehaw could have actually cut down on his deaths in the early laning phase, that the game would have gone even easier for Team Secret. Start things off, we do have a off-lane Darkseer. Misery has already picked up his level 2. This is one of the big advantages when you're running a Tiny Wisp mid. You're obviously committing two different heroes to that middle lane. It means you can probably get a lot more aggressive with your off-laner. And plus, he's matched up against the Slardar. One of the big things the analysts were talking about in the draft is you have to deal with the Darkseer here. You want to be able to pick up a hero that has, can actually match up against a Darkseer well. Bloodseeker was being talked about as being one of those heroes. Slardar really isn't, in the fact that he's just going to take a lot of damage constantly and burn through regen.
Yeah, this is going to be a rough lane for him because the Darkseer can just kind of spam out the double Ion Shell, and as long as Misery plays back, he should be fine. The Disruptor is primarily focusing on just getting levels, which I think is the right idea, because if you just go down to try to trade hits with the Darkseer, I actually think that's just a waste of time. Like, the only way that you're going to kill him is get some levels on your Disruptor, wait for your Slardar to get a few levels as well, and then kind of weather the storm. But I mean, Misery's getting a lot right now in this lane. Like, he's about to hit level 3, he's almost got the Soul Ring too, and once he has that, it kind of gives him the option of going into the jungle too. And you notice that he can stand to play this aggressively because he knows that the Slardar doesn't have mana and he's nowhere near.
The Kinetic Field is actually going to catch Misery on his way out. A couple more right clicks and Sam with the Slayer might actually be able to pick up this kill. Misery, he pops the health potion, barely staying alive. He picks up the Banner Rune and now goes for the deny onto Roshan, which he will not be successful. Solo holds on to that right click right until after the Roshan hits the bash and will be able to pick up the first blood.
Maybe he could have gone out, actually. Instead of going for the Bounty Rune, he just went all the way up. But by going for the Bounty Rune, he pretty much was like, okay, I have to go for the Roshan Suicide, but he had a Tango popped at 84 HP. There's actually, like, no way that he's not going to get killed there.
Oh, don't tell me, Misery! He just got sent all the way back to base, just right on the cusp of that 5 seconds, but Misery now has a long trek back to the lane.
That is a really tilting move. Like, as an offlaner, especially when you give up your first blood and then you say, okay, that's kind of expected out of this type of lane, but getting sent back 2 is kind of just icing on the cake for Vega. But this is a lane that I think if Misery had just kind of chilled for a little bit more, he would have been okay. Like, he was doing fine, but by contesting the stack and getting so aggressive, I almost feel like he's trying too hard to win the lane when he can just play passively and zone out the Slardar like he is right now.
Yeah, you could see the Slardar already forced into a healing salve and does have a, middle lane. They're going to toss back Wee in order to try and get some extra right clicks, but he does have that win run still, though. Great body blocking from Solo, and they may actually be able to get this kill, but the turnaround on the Solo, never mind, he's dead. Toss up in the air right onto Pylon dying. No one is going to challenge him. He does have an avalanche, but it's a little too dangerous to get underneath that tier 1 tower, so no one just takes the 1 kill in the Wind Ranger. Still a win for Vega.
Again, Wee just has to kind of respect this lane a little bit more. In the matchup where he was the Lina against Alliance's dual lane like this, it almost felt like, again, he was trying to be a little bit too over-aggressive, but this is one of the higher kill potential lanes in the game, especially with the slow. Oftentimes you can get the double toss-off, so he just kind of has to respect it a little bit more, play back a little bit, and let the natural hero mobility kind of work in his favor. Like, spam out your power shot. If they try to get close, use the wind run. You don't necessarily have to be this close like he is right now.
Yep, gonna get almost comboed. The toss will land on him. Nice shackle shot. No one will take a little bit of damage for his trouble, but he's fairly clearly going to be okay with the bottle on Solo, plus he has another 10 magic stick charges. He's got a lot of extra regen.
I'd really like to see Weehawk kind of play back now. They've got the combo up again. The Tiny's just getting a ton of levels. He has to be really careful now not to die, because it would open up so much space on the map. That means they don't have to devote anything to this mid lane. They can kind of just focus more on trying to shut down Misery, and that would just be 2 lanes won for Vega.
Yeah, plus you know that the Tiny's going to go back and clear through those stacks pretty soon, and that's the time where you can play maybe a little bit more forward, maybe throw out a power shot towards that hard camp and just see what you can steal. But there's definitely going to be no stealing opportunities really for Secret. No aggressive 5-man into the Radiant jungle. That's used to be kind of theorized. We would see teams that were so reliant on those stacks, you would see some sort of forward position to try and interrupt that, but it seems like the Radiant jungle is just too secure for people to make those kind of invasions this early on into the game.
You also don't have the lineup for it. Like, if it was any other carry, let's say a gyrocopter, for sure you could make the move in, because just with your low cooldown rocket, barrage, and your call down, you can make that excursion pretty easily. But when you're playing as like a Wind Ranger and an anti-mage, this is kind of a passive lineup in general. Like, you're just hoping that people overextend and you can win the late game team fights with your Elder Titan Darkseer.
Misery does have to play a bit careful, because we do have that level 2 glimpse ready to go for the Disruptor, and obviously the offensive power of the Slardar actually makes for a decent killing combo.
Yeah, it's more just though that Pasha is constantly low on mana and HP, and that's what you want as an offlaner, is to always check where the carry is at, because it's kind of irrelevant where the support is as long as you have full HP. You just have to know where the Slardar is at all times, and he knows that the Slardar has no mana, he doesn't have any more HP left. You've got an Enchanted Mango, but if you run into 2, that's actually 3 Ion Shelled creeps, you probably just die.
Yeah. Pasha does have his bottle coming in, which I guess is one of the ways. Like, Slardar, it does have some mana issues, so you can kind of see where he's going with that one, plus the regen is helpful, but no one in the middle lane. They will be able to get the stop, the turnaround, 3-man stun, beautiful setup from no one. That will stop a lot of that incoming damage, and the rotation from Secret, not really successful. But they're going to continue on. We've seen this before from Secret. Do they actually try and help out Misery in that off lane? He's going to surge up. They do have Vision Glimpse right back in. Doesn't actually hit the kinetic field, but Pasha is still enough movement speed to catch back up to Misery, and they will get the right click to secure the kill.
Yeah, and they're not close by enough, and especially with this ward spotting them in, this is a really good ward by Vega. It's a pretty common one, and Secret, as soon as they see the supports run back, they know for a fact that there's a ward there, so they go for the instant D ward. And Vega, I mean, they're sitting pretty right now. Like, they just got the stack done. The Tiny's doing really well in terms of farm. Your off-lane Clockwork is struggling, but this is a lane that we expect to struggle. Like, he's not going to do well, but he does pretty well against Wind Ranger in the mid-game, because most Wind Rangers are going to skip the Force Staff, for example, and just go for the right-away Aghanim Scepter if they can.
Right. So that lockdown of the cogs, even the damage of the battery assault can definitely threaten the Wind Ranger pretty well. Solo comes back to the middle lane, healing up no one, who is going to be going for the early set of drums. Pretty normal stat item pickup so far. And I'm sure he's going to be going for the Aghanim's this game, right? Just because you do have already that blink aggressive hero on Slardar, it would feel like maybe too much of an investment into the 15 to 25 minute marker to go for double blinks.
Yeah, because you can definitely go late game with this type of lineup. You don't necessarily have to all in for the mid game with that blink dagger, because at some point it will fall off, and Solo should just be
shackle shot follows, but no one makes sure to separate himself to stop. He's actually going to land on a Solo. Looks like he's going to be going down. The toss up in the air. That's actually a combo. Solo lives. Weehaw looking for the right click. He actually has a power shot ready to go. Goes for no one. Focus fire. No one living. Just barely power shot. Secures the kill. Solo is now trying to get his way out, but I don't think he's going to make it. He's got no creeps to tether to anywhere close. And double kill for Weehaw. And that's just the supports of Team Secret. So Secret actually come out, despite the fact that they were the ones giving away the kills in the beginning of that fight, they did get the Tiny in exchange, and that makes it all worth it.
Yeah, now they have the top 2 networks in the game. That was so huge for Weehaw right now, because now he's 3-1. The early game, obviously, he dies early on, but it just feels like he really knows how to recover. That was kind of my big question mark for Weehaw as a player is, okay, yeah, he's a good pub player, but when it comes to competitive Dota, if he gets behind early, what is he going to do? But it feels like his rotations so far have been on point, so no issues there so far, and Vega just kind of have to slow down the aggression a little bit and play off the timing a little bit more.
Is under attack.
Our Clockwork, Eternal Envy is taking some damage here. Clockwork actually managed to pick up the kill in the Darkseer. They'll get Highlight Die as well.
Huge rotation from him, because Mag was getting shut out in that top lane, but by getting that double kill, his item timings are actually going to be somewhat decent.
Yeah, they now have the Disruptor with his level 6, so now you have lockdown against the enemy.
Oh, that's actually so huge. I didn't even notice.
Yeah, he gets it really early on because he makes the rotation up to the top lane, and yeah, Eternal Envy locked inside the kinetic field just barely. They make sure he stays there with the glimpse back, but that might have actually given an escape for Eternal Envy. Oh, halfway through that blink animation, but the damage is there just in time from Solo.
That was a little bit sloppy. Like, he should have said, I'm glimpsing, but by the time they were doing that, they're going for it.
They're going for Wee, and they actually think they can catch him with a toss back right into the Clockwork inside the battery cell cogs. What a combo from Vega.
Oh, that was sick by Vega. And he tries to leave the Tiny behind in case he has the angle, but unable to do so. But this flat-out aggression, I mean, they're just like, screw it, we're far enough ahead.
Don't tell me. No one looking for a toss?
The toss?
Oh, but he tossed it onto the top Puppy instead. I think he was hoping to be able to get the toss to Puppy to stop the stop. But Soul's going to be able to come in, maybe heal up. No one, just enough. The ultimate goes out. Eternal Envy, he can't quite get it. Turnaround time. Toss on a Puppy once again. He goes for the stomp. Does land on the Disruptor, but Puppy's low enough. Mag is committing for the kill on a Misery at the exact same time. Glimpse back. They get Puppy, and Misery flying catapult right on top of his head will finish him off as well. Blunt force trauma. 11-3 right now, and the fight just continues as Weehaw now TP's in. He wants part of the action, but Vega Squadron will use that bit of discipline that we've been talking about. The CIS region known for their aggression, but Vega Squadron in particular is known for coupling that aggression with a lot of discipline and making sure they do back up at the right time.
Honestly, it's even less discipline and more the fact that their team fight execution is excellent. Like the way that they set things up, Mag waiting in the bottom of the river so that they could toss the Wind Ranger on top of him, and they haven't even rotated their Slardar because they know that he's quite a bit behind the anti-mage. So like, okay, you focus on getting your Blink Dagger, Mag will just be the one to rotate around the map. And that's so surprising how successful this Clockwork has been so far, considering how much he was able to get in the off lane. Like, he barely ekes out any levels or farm, but he still manages to go 4-0 so far.
They have a smoke up. It was actually a 4-man smoke. Tiny does break his and shows himself in this top lane while the other two heroes going to go hunting. Mag and same with Slayer. They actually have a decent amount of kill power. Pylai die. He's going to be caught here, it looks like. Mag's just going to run him down. They do manage to get the shackle shot. The silence goes down. Relocate in order to finish off this Crystal Maiden and maybe even go for more. They got the glimpse. Weehan's going to be tossed up in the air, and that's the death of him as well. Pylai die. Soul's going to try and run him down with the balls. Meanwhile, farther down, Mag, beautiful set of cogs, has caught the heroes inside. Throw out the wall, the turnaround perhaps, but the toss is just too much damage. They'll finish off these heroes, and Vega Squadron keep everyone alive. The only hero they haven't hunted down yet is Eternal Envy.
This tiny Wisp Disruptor has just completely destroyed Team Secret. Like, Seam of the Slayer getting that early level 6, going to that top lane, disrupting that anti-mage's farm, picking up the kill, and then from there, that's a level 6 Disruptor at like 8 minutes into the game, on top of a tiny Wisp that has been so successful throughout. They get their first relocate gank off, it's successful. Mag starts the game 4-0, obviously. He's got a Blade Mail completed at 12 minutes too. You've got Blink Daggers on the heroes that you need them on, and this is going to be a big defense for Team Secret because they need this one to be successful.
Yeah, no one with a shackle shot on him. Maybe they can commit to the kill. Eternal Envy, he has his ultimate ready to go, but he has no idea who he really wants to throw it on. Now he's sent back up to the top lane, and he's going to be caught by the blink in as Pasha takes him out. The Echo Stamp just not in time, and Vega Squadron are just running over Team Secret.
As a commentator, it's hard to say. You know, you always want to give the other team the benefit of the doubt and say, okay, they can maybe make a comeback, but a kill a minute so far by Vega, it doesn't feel like they're going to stop this aggression either. For Secret to get back into this game, though, you have to secure some stable farm for Eternal Envy, slow down the pace of the game. Going for that tier 1 defense, when they have that Blink Dagger on the Slardar, and as strong as the Tiny and the Wisp are, you can't get into that fight, even if it looks so good.
Yeah, certainly, and I really feel like this is a textbook example of how to couple the Disruptor with aggression and make the most amount of use of him. I mean, the fact that they were able to move the Tiny Wisp around the map, and then they have this offlaner that gets online relatively early, it's just been a playfield for Disruptor constantly, playing aggressively and forcing Team Secret to try and run away, and that's where you always get that extra glimpse pick off. There's so many situations where I think Vega Squadron are using this Disruptor to its max potential.
Oh, for sure. Like, and that's what, if you were looking at that bottom lane, you're just like, okay, the Slardar is taking a lot of damage from the Ion Shells, but all the Disruptor was doing was saying to himself, all I have to do is wait, get level 6, stack and pull. It doesn't really matter if he's doing poorly because we'll eventually make space for him back, and that's just trust in your teammates.
They deny the off-lane tower. The rest of Vega Squadron are going for that smoke gank, but Team Secret, I think they've heard you, Blitz. They're trying to slow down this game. They know that Vega Squadron will just continue to play super aggressively. That's why they're sitting back right now while Vega Squadron are off map.
It's honestly hard as a team to kind of anticipate this amount of aggression. Like, Team Secret probably thinks, okay, the onslaught will finally stop. We can slow down the pace of this game. We'll defend this tier 1 tower, but you kind of have to give Vega a little bit more credit because all throughout this tournament, they're willing to bring all their cores in at like the 10-minute mark just to establish dominance over the map.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
Vega Squadron look like they're going to be setting up on this tier 1 tower pretty soon. Team Secret not doing Roshan, as Vega Squadron may have suspected. They don't really have the most fantastic Roche-taking team. Once they have the Medallion, they'll be a lot better. If they can get the Aghanims on Wind Ranger and the Medallion on the Elder Titan, then they can do Roshan rather easily. But for now, they can't really go for it.
At this phase of the game, if you go for the Roshan and you lose that fight, the game pretty much just spirals out of control. Yeah. For Secret to continue to be in this game, all they have to do is slow down the pace of the game, create some space for your anti-mage by showing yourself at bottom. So 2 heroes show themselves at bottom, so then Envy can just kind of free up the jungle for himself and play off of the fact that his team is being really aggressive right now.
This is probably where we have to really start using Focus Fire to threaten these towers, right? Because you need to force rotations, because Vega Squadron right now, they don't really seem too concerned with these heroes at bottom lane. They're controlling the middle lane, they're controlling top at the same time, which means, you know, in a way, they're also controlling the enemy jungle, and they're still taking objectives. It doesn't seem like they really care too much what Team Secret are doing, as long as they're keeping the enemy a little bit at bay.
Yeah, for sure. And something you notice too is that people criticize Highlight Die for dying too much, but this is kind of the style. Is you show yourself as a Crystal Maiden at bottom and say, hey, look at me, come gank me with 2, because Vega might think to themselves, okay, somebody has to be behind that Crystal Maiden. You gank the CM with 2 heroes, and then all of a sudden, Anti-Mage has farm in the top area, he can go to the mid lane, and it's just freeing up space and kind of gathering information for yourself.
So Team Secret at this point in time know they need to actually take a step and make the offensive maneuver, because clearly Vega Squadron are not taking the bait and are just going to stick around at that top lane. So the 4-man maneuver is going to come through middle lane. Mag is there, but not sure if that's the highest priority kill at this point. They'll throw out the shackle shot and should be able to get this kill to start things off. So Mag does go down for that 4-man gank. Disruptor's there with the ultimate, throws it down, doesn't really hit anything. Solo at the same time did complete the relocate, but no one's actually separated there. Pasha's still able to pick up the kill on Pylai Die towards the end, and no one continues his push at the top lane as Solo returns, not really threatened by Eternal Envy.
I think Secret anticipated that that was probably going to be some sort of 1-for-1 trade, but again, it's just creating your own pace of game, waiting for the anti-mage to continue to get farm. His Battle Fury timing is actually excellent for this type of game, and for how unstable it's been for Team Secret. And going for these little mini skirmishes actually opens up the map. Like, oftentimes people think when you're playing this type of defensive strategy, it's just about everybody hiding on the map. But if that happens, then Vega just takes control of your jungle, they take control of their own jungle, and they out-farm you. Like, somebody has to do something, and somebody has to create space.
Yeah, somebody has to die, essentially, on Team Secret, right? You gotta force something. You know you're behind, but you have to force some sort of action in order to create space, and that's gonna involve one of your supports most likely dying, maybe even one of your cores as well.
This is like a rest in peace highlight that game. He just has to like constantly show himself on the map and hope they go for him. You can't reasonably expect to go for that clockwork kill and not lose somebody because of the relocate.
So this is probably not going to be a Glimmer Cape game for him. Another denied tower, and this is really hurting Team Secret. 2 different denied towers now. Vega Squadron holding on to about a 3,000 gold lead. But you can see as the things have kind of slowed down, it is going a bit better for Team Secret. No longer climbing in Vega Squadron's favor.
Yeah, this is just what the Anti-Mage does, and same with the Darkseer. Like, the Darkseer is naturally just going to be able to catch up compared to a hero like Clockwork, because the Clockwork has no flash farm mechanic. Like, the Clockwork heavily relies on being able to get kills, participating in team fights to get his net worth. Whereas the Darkseer can just go to the enemy jungle, he can slow down the pace of the game. You've got 2 supports that are kind of weak, but Puppy's got, he's got the natural order in his stun, so he's always going to be useful without farm. And Pylai Dai is the Crystal Maiden. His farm is kind of irrelevant in this game. All this game is about is making sure that Eternal Envy gets his farm. The Darkseer eventually gets a Blink Dagger.
Oh, do they catch Eternal Envy here? The Silence is down, and they just body block him just enough to make sure he stays inside the kinetic field, and the Silence pulls on through. Vega Squadron, they only get 1 hero pick-off, but what a hero it was, shutting down Eternal Envy.
Yeah, that was the biggest pick-off that you could have gotten on the map. And that was so fortuitous just because you happen to scout out your jungle, you want to push out that tier 2 bottom anyways. It makes the most sense. And now Vega has 2 different objectives that they can go for. You can either decide to go for that bottom tier 1 push, which would open up Roshan for you at some point too. Or you can just kind of split up the map and farm it. I think they just go for the bottom tier 1 push, and then you can kind of open up the map a little bit more, go for your own smoke, and then go for the Roshan when you have the Disruptor ult again.
You can see Pasha, because everyone else on his team is essentially bottom, the moment somebody shows himself, he immediately blinks backward. Pylai Dai just kind of threatens him with the Crystal Nova, but he jumps himself away and allows no one to freely take that tier 1 tower. Team Secret may even have to give up a tier 2. I like that Vega Squadron are continuing to push for more objectives. Again, this really lessens the control over the Roshan pit in particular, but it also feels like Team Secret are not going to challenge you too much. And as the middle and top lane push out, this will be more farming opportunities for Vega as well. No one, he's not ready to push uphill yet, but he can farm up and complete his AC, and maybe then you can see the 5-band push.
Yeah, now that they have so much map control in the game, you've got a level 2 Slardar ultimate. That amplified damage just rips through Roshan. It's a Medallion plus, and then you've got the Hyperstone completed on No 1 2. And this is going to be the next objective. Once you take down that tier 2 tower at bottom, there's no way that Secret want to take this fight. The Darkseer has a Blink Dagger, so the fight would kind of be okay-ish, but you have no idea how low it is. There's no real way for you to check. You could power shot it, I guess, but even then, what's your initiation here?
So they throw out the Spirit, that's all they can really do. And then reveal the fact that, yeah, Roshan's dead. And no one has an Aegis as well as a Hyperstone now. So that AC really not that far away with BKB on Pasha coming in soon. You look 5 minutes in the future, and Vega Squadron are going to be looking so fantastic for team fights.
Eternal Envy is still going for the Vlads. I think he realizes this is one of those 1v5 AM games where he just has to avoid fights at all times. Going for something like the BKB or something wouldn't make sense. Even going for the Manta, like some people might say, skip the Manta instead of going for the, or go for the Manta instead of going for the Vlad and skip that entirely. But if you get caught by the Disruptor, what does it actually matter?
Vega Squadron, nice find there. Taking away one of the more aggressive wards from Team Secret laid out earlier.
I think Vega just go for a tier 2 top push because your bottom lane is pushed in enough, so is your mid lane. And then just try to get aggressive all across the map. And this is a really cool move by them. They're going to smoke and split up because they know the Tiny Wisp is the obvious target at top. They're like, there's probably heroes behind them, but they're actually just going to get aggressive and use the relocate. And if they could get the anti-mage here, this would be so huge.
Oh my goodness, he can't be found doing these agents. He's already down to half HP and he's gone.
Oh, he's dead.
The relocate comes in, but
the neutral creeps killed him.
Oh, well, that's a little bit lucky for Vega. Oh, the snapback there from the Elder Titan. That was big, but still, it's no one clearing through the whole entire Ancient stack. And that still hurts Eternal Envy so badly. Yeah, they didn't get the kill for that, but he still died in the end. He lost gold. He lost the Ancient stack. A huge blow to Team Secret.
Yeah, getting the anti-mage killed, obviously, you would have liked to have the last hit. Unfortunately, the Ancients took it from you, but it's not too big of a deal because it's more just about the space that you created, and you slowed down the anti-mage's split push, which is huge because you don't want to just trade this tier 2 mid for your tier 2 bottom. And if the anti-mage was alive, that would be the choice.
So the tier 2 and mid's definitely going to fall. Vega Squadron can very rapidly rotate up to the top lane. In fact, they actually have the AC now. Do they have enough time with this Aegis to actually push uphill? Do you think that's on them, that they should be trying to push uphill so early into the game? Misery's going to be caught by Mag. Great pick up there with the blade mail, doing its work. But yeah, do you think that they should try and push uphill with this Aegis? Or do you think that they're controlling the game so well they just take all the tier 1s and tier 2s and just play for more farm efficiency, essentially?
If Envy hadn't died there and he was somewhat close to the Manta and he was able to push down that bottom tower, I would say that Vega kind of has to focus more on killing him and then just immediately go for the high ground. But when you already got him killed, you took that tier 2, you're still getting kills around the map, and you've taken complete control of the jungle. I don't think it's as necessary to be that forceful. You can just kind of take control of the map further, slowly choke out Team Secret, and then go for that one death push where Secret just don't have anything in the tank.
Yeah, especially with WizTiny already being so good at split pushing, and they're not all of the net worth of Vega Squadron. I mean, this Slardar as well as the Clockwork are still plenty strong. They can afford to have 3 of them push in and top lane while Tiny and Wisp make sure that there is no animated split push all the meanwhile.
I mean, the Slardar just built perfectly. Like, he's got the BKB second item because he realizes I'm not the damage dealer in this team. I just need the amplified damage off on a core target, and then the Tiny can kind of mop up. And if you look at the lineup for Team Secret, what actually stops Pasha from just going in?
It's really not going to be anything. They need some sort of initiation, but that's not going to come with without a Blink Dagger on Windranger. Is that the next item, or do you think he has to go for more damage at this point?
I almost feel like he just needs a BKB to actually get damage off, because as soon as he gets stunned, he's pretty much dead. Windrun or no windrun, like, they'll chase you down. And Vega, they've got all the core items that they need. You've got the BKB on the Slardar. The Tiny's got his fully completed AC. You've got a mech completed on solo too. The Aegis has enough timing on it that you can at least take down this tower and go for more.
Oh, the hook shot in. If they could actually stop Puppy from getting off his ultimate, there's going to be no vacuum combo as well. Misery's going to be able to get off just the vacuum on one, but that doesn't mean much. Puppy now throws out the ultimate, but he's going to be going down to Pasha in a second. 3 heroes down and 3 heroes buyback. Is now a 4th comes in from Puppy as well. This is Team Secret knowing this is kind of all in for them. They're going to go for Mag to start with, who's so far forward, but now a 2-man stun. Pasha finds his opening, goes straight for Wii, who's going to be forced to wind run back to the base. Toss in, not quite enough damage, and Pasha won't be able to get that one. No one's quite low, but that's just the Aegis. In fact, he may even die to illusion. Oh, there goes the Wisp. He's gone, and they're going to catch a couple more. Mag manages to push back Eternal Envy, tries to blink himself out and TP away, but that doesn't happen. No one now has to turn. He's surrounded by Team Secret on all sides, just has to try and get as many kills as possible, but a great shackle shot from Wii is going to be able to ensure the kill, or maybe not. Pasha actually gets a nice stun in. Eternal Envy on the chase, but no one's still incredibly dangerous with this next combination up. Whoever jumps forward and challenges him is just going to be comboed nice and quick. Pasha, he's going to make the turnaround here, looking for something, looking for some sort of blink, but a shackle shot. He's going to get the stun onto Wii, but they've kited around Vega Squadron just perfectly enough that they will wipe them here, and Team Secret will hold.
It took them like 9 different lives, but they still managed to hold. And that's what matters, is that you didn't lose racks. Your anti-mage got a ton of money for being in that fight. Like, take a look at Eternal Envy's gold bank now. He's got 4,600 gold. I don't think he was the one that had to buy back, right? It was just everybody else on his team. And I mean, they're pretty poor right now, but again, we talked about it before. If this game goes that badly, it's pretty much going to have to be on the anti-mage anyways.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like the buybacks are definitely worth it when I'm looking at this fight recap, and it's only the Tiny and the Slardar that are dead, and the gold swing from just those heroes going down is over 4K. So yeah, it cost them 4 different buybacks, but they definitely did get the kills to make it worth it. And as you said, now Eternal Envy, he's already got that full-out Manta. Looks like they're going to try and force something. Oh, the hook shot! Mag got him! Eternal Envy stuck here for a full second. He blinks up. Do they have any sort of extra play? Oh, the force tap. He ends up on the wrong side of the cliff, but oh, he managed to actually force it back down. Eternal Envy managed to get the heal from Misery. Looks like that'll keep him alive.
That was so close. If Mag actually hadn't 360'd over that cliff, maybe he probably would have killed him. Like 2 right clicks would have done it.
Yeah.
Like, the mech makes it look a lot worse than it was, but they were so close to being able to get that kill. The question for Secret now is, what do you do when the next Roshan hits? Because it's going to come with a BKB Tiny, an Aegis, and I don't even know if you can really afford to give up the Aegis because it took, what, like 8 lives or something like that on top of just to kill like the Aegis and then the Tiny kind of misplayed it.
Yeah.
Like, you can't anticipate that happening twice.
And we're also talking about, like, we keep on thinking, okay, Secret just need to stall out the game, push it. But if you look further in the future, right, it's not like once they push past, 40 minutes, all of a sudden they're good. Because then they have this other side of the window where Tiny Wisp as a late game duo is insanely strong. And Slardar is actually really decent semi-carry now with that amplified damage being buffed up so many times. Now minus 20 armor. So late into the game, that's actually still an incredibly powerful ultimate.
Pasha, he's going to go for the armlet right now, just some cheap damage sources.
So, looks like it's not quite in range. Misery is actually going to smoke right in here, blinks himself away. And he sees there's just too many heroes for him to fight, and they will get the Ancient Stack. I think Misery really wanted to contest that, especially around such a clutch area where Vacuum Wall would be very powerful, but looks like the rest of Team Secret have made the call. They're going to sit back and wait for Vega Squadron to push high ground, or maybe wait out Roshan. Do you think they fight around Roshan? Can they give up that Aegis?
That's the real question right now, because if Secret take that fight outside of their base, they don't have buybacks, and also if they lose that fight and you give up the Aegis, then you might as well just call GG from Secret. Like, there's actually no coming back from that. So the call is whether or not they feel comfortable enough. It's like, okay, do we give up this Rax at top? Do we think we can mount a defense at the next Rax? Or do we just go all in for the Roshan? And I actually think the call is to go all in for the Roshan and take that fight outside the base. Because I don't think you're going to kill a Tiny with a BKB twice. I actually don't even think it's going to be a very close fight. And you're probably going to lose that top Rax anyways, and that'll probably just mean game. So just go for the fight outside the base. You're not going to get that much stronger than you are right now. And hope for some kind of really clutch sequence of events to happen with your Elder Titan and your Darkseer.
Yeah, Elder Titan actually has a big upgrade coming in. His upgrade to the medallion is coming up. Solar Crest.
Solar Crest. You forgot for a second,
New items. Armlet now complete for Pasha, so he's actually a tanky beast and hits really hard.
It's just such a good cheap damage item for him.
Very mid-game focus, but that's what Slardar's all about.
Yeah, he doesn't really need much more, and this pickup by no one is actually just going to ruin Secret right now. He gets the value Talisman of Evasion. He gets Eternal Envy, who's never going to have an MKB. Same with the Wind Ranger, who has just 400 gold to her name right now.
Yeah, he did go for the Blink Dagger. I guess feeling that the pressure that he has to get those Shackle Shot openings.
Yeah, I guess I agree, but it just comes down to then Secret have to start the fights. And look, this is what they're going for, because they realize at the same time, you can't just give up the Roshan. You have to take the fight outside the base and hopefully win this fight. You're not going to win one against double life Tiny, so might as well just make this the fight.
Man, smoke up, following Eternal Envy. Roshan is up, and Mag's just kind of hanging around this area. I'm sure he's gonna throw a rocket into the pit soon, just to make sure that Secret haven't snuck in there.
They know for sure about the smoke now.
They're gonna come over. The Shackle Shot actually misses, and Weeha's gonna be stunned. Does get a safety force step, but now he's gonna be comboed up by Mag. They toss him inside of the cogs. 2-man with the Static Storm on top. They don't stand a chance. Double BKBs being used by Vega, but it's well worth it because Secret do not have buyback on those heroes.
Yeah, and I think you actually just walk into the Roche pit because they're so preoccupied with the illusions, but the Radiant Courier was sniped by Eternal Envy, and now this is panic mode for Eternal Envy. He has to go for the split push mid, and just trust that they're going to go for the Roshan instead of him. There's no sneaky smoke plays or anything like that, and they're going to give up the Aegis, but this is kind of what you expected as a result, right? If you're not going to win that fight, you're giving up the Aegis, and this is probably going to mean a minimum of a Rax.
So Eternal Envy is essentially trying to buy time by split pushing out as hard as humanly possible, making it so Vega Squadron have to kind of recover these lanes. Maybe he just gives them an extra minute, but 1 more minute of farming could be a completed big-time item for the Animage, but what does he go at? 3,500 gold, so jump in, and they're going to be relocated on toss combo by Eternal Envy. So forget about that 3K gold.
He has a lot of it left over. Like, he's got 1,800 on top of the buyback.
Yeah, but so much lost farming time. It feels like he's, like if it's Butterfly, right? I feel like he's not going to be able to complete that Butterfly now before Vega Squadron push uphill.
This is the awkward part of the game where you ask me, okay, what should they go for? But there's like 3 different items that Eternal Envy needs.
Yeah. Puppy's dead. Hook shot combo. Well, all right, the Solar Crest makes it a little bit more difficult, but you realize they'll have to actually use spells for it.
Yeah, and Weeha's just going to push in mid as fast as he can because he realizes, all right, without our Elder Titan, this is going to be a pretty hard defense, but he eventually is going to have to TP back after this wave. Maybe you just accept the fact that you're going to lose your Rax here.
Yeah.
They're just going to head to mid right after.
So that could be not only the top lane Rax as well as maybe tier 3 before Animage naturally revives. I mean, he just does not want to buy back. He's already suffering so badly.
Yeah, they're going to take this Rax, immediately go for that mid lane, and just force Secret into another like 8-man defense. But this time around, unfortunately, Secret doesn't have any buybacks available.
All right, tier 3 gone. Melee Rax going to be falling soon. This is going to be the full lane of Rax if Team Secret don't fight until the Elder Titan's back up. Need to make the jump in now, but Eternal Envy's already been sent back. Shackle shot, vacuum right on top of the wall, but Mag has actually interrupted primary damage dealer of Weeha with his hook shot. Now starts getting away while Misery will just pound into dust by no one. Samus Slayer trying to catch up, will be able to make sure there's no extra jump from Team Secret. Control, shackle shot, focus fire over the cliff, but Pasha jumps right over that cliff and gets a nice stun onto Weeha. Puppy looking for an Echo Stomp. They have to catch something here. They can't afford to let Vega Squadron just back up for free. But at the same time, there's still huge turnaround potential for Vega. Eternal Envy has actually found Mag, but Pasha actually jumps and gets another stun. Shackle shot doesn't latch. Great Disruptor ultimate that controls 2 different heroes. That's going to be Weeha as well as Pylai Dai. Dead. Misery instantly stunned up by that extra bit of stun from Craggy Exterior. Samus Slayer going to be caught. Stomp up. Toss. Whoa! Right before the relocate gets Tiny the hell out of there. Animage is topped right on top of Darkseer.
That's like the saddest death ever because Eternal Envy's like, I don't want to do this to you.
I'm so sorry.
And he just flies on top of him, but that wasn't the worst fight in the world for Team Secret. Like, they repelled them, even with the Aegis available, he didn't lose it, but at the same time, they were able to just hold on for a little bit longer. I kind of agree with the choice of giving up the Rax, because you want you want to at least do one full-on team fight if you're Team Secret. Like, why go out, you know, in a 3v5 fight where people filter in 1 by 1. I actually felt like that was IG's weakness. Like, get one really strong fight, continue to rely on the fact that Eternal Envy can still win this game for you. Like, he can still play the split-pushing anti-mage, but he just needs so many different items.
Bottom tower is under attack.
The completed Battle Fury is there. Or, sorry, Butterfly for the Tiny. He's still got another 2,600 gold on top of that solo. Picked up the Glimmer Cape, which we saw a nice little nifty escape there earlier after he was relocated back. Glimmer and TP out.
Vega, they're going to assemble again.
Okay.
Oh.
I mean, we've seen this story before with Eternal Envy.
Okay, this is
him attempting to make some sort of excellent trade, or I mean, the last time I saw this pickup, specifically Divine Rapier with Eternal Envy, he was actually able to utilize it to beautifully split push and trade Rax for Rax.
You know what this has to happen? You know what has to happen? They actually have to just surprise them with this Divine Rapier. And Eternal Envy just has to like come in, hit like a freight train, and then all of a sudden Vega understands they're like, oh, we actually can't take this fight. And that's what he's doing right now. Like, you notice he's hidden in the back because he doesn't want to tip off Vega to plan. Because if Vega sees it, all they're going to do is all in no matter what, but it might not matter.
Puppy gets jumped by the hook shot. They do manage to get him out there with the 4-staff.
Oh, Weeha's actually spotted out. He doesn't have a TP either.
He can't afford to go down here. He gets a wind run trying to buy some time, but he's going to be glimpsed, toss, avalanche, and he's gone. No buyback for 70 seconds, and now the plan Already. Oh, and it's going to look even worse with Misery now jumped by another hook shot. Mag is just on point here. Cots push back over and over again. They managed to get the stun onto Eternal Envy while they have their off-laner Darkseer already dead. They're going to get the chain stun onto Eternal Envy as well. The Divine Rapier is on the deck, and Team Secret don't have a hope, don't have a prayer in this game one. Vega Squadron coming on strong in this best of 3.
I mean, this looked like every one of Vega's wins, just dominant from minute 1. It just felt like the individual mistakes added up too much, giving up that solo kill at bottom and then getting glimpsed back. That allowed their Disruptor to get that really quick level 6, being able to get that solo kill in mid lane between the Tiny and the Wisp. It just feels like Vega understands how all their lanes are supposed to work, and if you give them an inch, they take a mile.
Unbelievable play by Vega Squadron. Team Secret gonna have to take a break and think about what went wrong, but it's time for us now to see what the analysts have to say over there at the Alpha Draft Analyst Desk.
Thank you so much, Cap. Wow, game 1 going the way of Vega. We were all in agreement that Secret were at least minor favorites coming into this series, and now they're 1 game away from 2nd place in this tournament. Peter, what were your first thoughts watching that game?
Well, I was the only one to predict that Vega would win the first game.
Well done, sir.
Draft, so, yeah, first pick Elder Titan didn't work out too well. I really liked the Tiny Wisp against the early Elder Titan pick. You know, they had the Vlads on Wisp and AC on Tiny, and they were just incredibly strong.
Yeah, they survived a lot, basically. I felt like Overcharge was really what won them almost every early team fight. It's like every hero they tried to kill, they'd survive with 200 HP, and even forcing like anti-mage rotations. If your carry teleports to the lane and he doesn't get a kill, and then maybe even dies afterwards, it's a huge loss. So things like that really added up.
My main concern for the early game was Slaughter getting farm, but they killed Misery. He didn't deny himself to Roche, and then the glimpse back. And okay, that's pretty much your early game in the safe lane. And Disruptor's not that strong, so you would hope that Secret could at least win that lane.
Yeah, absolutely. And I was just going to say that we were concerned about the Slardar, but he got so active early on that item progression wasn't really a big issue for him. Vega set that game at such a high pace. It just seemed like Secret were always scrambling, playing from behind, and just could never quite get their footing.
Mid lane was just all over the place, like Purge said. The Wisp was just saving this person, saving that person, and Secret was so close to so many kills, it just didn't work out, and eventually Tiny was just out of control.
Yeah, so we need to talk about the Divine Rapier pickup at the end. At that point, it seemed like all hope was lost. Was it time for that kind of a risk?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, you're down 2 racks. You have to go for anything you can. Maybe he could jump in and pick off 2 supports. That's the ideal, but that kind of thing happening is very unlikely. It would take like a shackle with Tiny to somebody else while he kills 2 supports. They could have potentially come back from that, but with Weehaw getting caught by the spirits, like there's not a whole lot you can do at that point.
Yeah, and I'm glad you brought up that mid lane, because we were talking about that when the house was on the panel of Wind Ranger. How will she fare against the IO Tiny combo? And it seems like she just couldn't really get the momentum. I mean, that was the first game where Weehaw's Wind Ranger did not look very convincing.
Yeah, he just didn't. He wasn't able to. He was able to farm pretty well CS wise, but a couple deaths, and then the Tiny did the stack, and mid lane was just definitely a one-sided affair.
Yeah, absolutely. So looking forward to game 2, Merlini, thoughts about what Secret can do to tighten up. Was this more of a drafting issue for you, or was this also out execution by Vega?
A little bit of both. I think they overestimated the Wisp. All their other opponents had banded out, and they thought they could handle it, and I just didn't think it was a good opener to handle the Wisp at all, especially a Wisp Tiny.
Yeah. I think Peter would agree with that as well.
Absolutely. There's a lot of good heroes against Wisp, and Crystal Maiden and Elder Titan aren't necessarily that bad against Wisp, but Elder Titan's not picked very often for a reason.
Yeah.
Just didn't really get much done that game.
He's only so good at ganking as well. The one time they did try to gank mid, he got avalanched with the group, and maybe with better coordination, they could have used that sleep to set up the CM disables afterwards, but it was immediately broken by focus fire. So that made things very difficult. It just was very difficult for them to deal with the mid lane there.
Yeah, definitely. So let's check in on our Alpha Draft leaderboards here and see how things have changed since game 1 of the finals. We saw that there were quite a few members of Team Vega floating towards the top, and, well, that's absolutely still the case. No one here number 1 on top of the boards. Looks like those that decided to bet on good old Vega Squadron are sitting pretty so far.
Yeah, gonna win a lot of money.
Absolutely. Ferrari 430, though, still having a good performance this tournament, actually still sitting at number 2. So, all right, very good. We're going to have a short break, then coming up game 2 of the grand finals. It's only a best of 3, so Secret absolutely need a win here to take us to an ace match and perhaps even take first place. Stick around, folks, because more Dota 2 is coming your way as we get to the tail end of ESL One New York 2015.